Coming up on this episode of Hit the Sled, preview of college football national championship between the Michigan Wolverines and the Washington Huskies. And also we're going to talk about why my Michigan Wolverines will be national champions of college football next on Hit the Sled. Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Eve. Welcome to another episode of Hit the Sled. Before we get started on this episode, just want to let you guys know you can follow me on Facebook, you can follow me on Twitter, you can follow me on Instagram, and of course, you're watching me right now on my YouTube channel at Hit the Sled. Hey, I appreciate everybody watching my episodes, but not only that, you can leave comments, and also you can like the videos, pass the word around. And let them know about Hit the Sled and how, man, hey, this thing is taking off. Man, I truly appreciate everybody with me on this episode. But as we get started on this episode, we're going to be talking about today the end of the regular season and also the playoffs. The Wildcard games are starting this coming weekend. And what a regular season. We had an up and down regular season for a lot of teams. A lot of teams we had expectations for didn't come through like we wanted to. My Washington Commanders, man, we got the number 2 seed in the draft. That was a blessing. We're gonna be talking about in another episode about everything that's going on with the Commanders. And also you have other teams that thought that we're gonna have better season and end up didn't, like the Atlanta Falcons, the New Orleans Saints. You have the Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Burrow gets hurt. That's something right there they didn't expect, but that's the National Football League season. One thing is guaranteed about the NFL. People get hurt. Teams that you in the preseason, coming into training camp, we all had high expectations for, they never really pan out. And you have other teams that stand up, that come out the woodworks and do their thing, and they make it to the playoffs. And one of the teams that we're going to talk about today, especially in the AFC, as we go over the bracket, are the Houston Texans. We're gonna get to them, but when you go through the bracket, you have, of course, the Ravens are the number 1 seed, and they have the bye by being the number 1 seed. The 2 seed is the Bills. The Bills, man, what a season! What an end of season for the Bills. We're gonna talk about them for a second. I should say. Excuse me. The Chiefs. The Chiefs are a team that we had high expectations for. They ended up being a 3 seed in the playoffs. But we expected the Chiefs to be a 1 seed, and the Chiefs did not play great this regular season. They did not at all. The Chiefs had a bad season, but they're the 3 seed, so they still have they're in the tournament, they're in the playoffs, so they got an opportunity to do something. But the Chiefs, they did not play well. One of the surprise teams, though, was the Houston Texans. And we're gonna talk about them. Houston came out of nowhere, and man, they made the playoffs, and they earned it too. They played well. Credit to their coach and their quarterback. We're going to talk about them a little later, but they did an exceptional job at being the 4 seed and making the playoffs. The 5th seed will be the Cleveland Browns. While the Texans were a surprise, Cleveland we thought would be in the playoffs, had an opportunity to be in the playoffs, but we didn't think the quarterback that's leading them will be the quarterback that's leading them. And they doing it. And they got up in there. They did it. They did it, man. So credit to them. We'll talk about them later. And the 6th seed will be the Dolphins. The Dolphins, the Miami Dolphins, they're there as well. Miami had a really good season. They had a really good season, but they just ended poorly the last 2 weeks of the regular season, where they played Baltimore and they played Buffalo, and they ended poorly. The last team we're going to talk about is the Steelers. The Steelers, we're gonna talk about them too, and the Steelers had a long, turbulent season, but we'll get to that too a little later. As far as the NFC, you have the Niners, the San Francisco 49ers. They had the bye. They're the 1 seed. You have the Cowboys. That's the 2 seed. Cowboys earned it, man. I'm a Redskin Commanders fan. The Cowboys earned it. You got to give them credit. They earned it. You have the 3 seed Detroit. Detroit was one of those teams that most expert thought Detroit were going to be good. The common fan, Joe the fan, never thought the Detroit would be what they end up being because Detroit have been bad for so long. People just do not believe that Detroit is where they're at. And they did it. They earned it too. Detroit is the 3 seed. They could have been as high as a 2. Had an opportunity to be a 1, believe it or not. But they didn't get there. They could have been a 2 seed. They got jobbed at Dallas, but that's water under the bridge now. The 4th seed is the Bucks. The Bucks were a surprise team. Nobody really thought the Bucks were gonna do nothing. Baker was the quarterback. And they earned it too. The Bucks earned it. The Bucks did their thing, man. They got it in their credit to Todd Bowles. We'll talk about them. The Eagles, on the other hand, they're the 5th seed. We all thought the Eagles would be a higher seed. The Eagles at one point started 10-1. They end up losing 5 out of 6 the end of the year. We'll talk about them later. The Rams. The Rams were a team last year. They were bad last year. Had a lot of injuries. Stafford was hurt. Aaron Donald was hurt. You had Sean McVay thinking about retiring in the offseason. And they put it together. That's an exceptional job by the Rams being a 6th seed. Sean McVay, credit to him, man. Sean McVay is an exceptional coach. And he was a believe it or not, he worked for the Redskins. He was a tight ends coach for the Redskins at one point. But we ain't gonna get into that. The last seed is the Packers. Nobody really thought the Packers would make the playoffs this year. People thought the Packers were a team of the future, but because of the player Jordan Love, they got there. So we'll be talking about that as well. So as you can see, we got a good playoff field. We got some good games coming this weekend. And as we go into it, the first game we're gonna talk about is Bills Steelers. And credit the Bills, man. You got to credit Buffalo. Buffalo, they won the NFC East by winning 5 straight games. Buffalo won 5 straight games. Buffalo on fire. The Bills on fire. Josh Allen on fire. Josh Allen ended the season with 4,300 yards, 29 touchdowns, but with 18 interceptions. We'll get to the interceptions in a little bit, but the Bills earned this. At one point, the Bills were 6-6. The Bills won 5 in a row. The Bills earned every bit of their playoff faith. They earned it. Can't take that away from them, man. The Bills won it, man. I'm sorry, they won it. They won all of it, man. They did it, man. They won the last 6 out. They won 5 straight, won 6 out of 7. They did it. They did a great job. They earned it, man. But the problem with the Bills is one of the things we got to talk about with the Bills is the turnovers by Josh Allen. But the Bills have been so good. Josh Allen threw 18 interceptions, and it didn't matter, and the Bills still was winning. The game they won last night against the Dolphins, Josh Allen had 3 turnovers by himself. And they still won the game 21-14. That's how good the Bills been. The Bills playing with Sean McDermott did an exceptional job. Von Miller ain't really giving them nothing defensively, and they still playing great. They still playing great, man. Man, listen, the Bills are poised to go on a run. They are poised to go on a run. The Bills are going on a run, in my opinion. They got the Steelers. The Steelers, I just told you, Steelers had a turbulent season. Steelers were up and down. They had a season where during the season, they had an offensive coordinator get fired. They had an issue of effort from George Pickens and Deontay Johnson, not giving effort on plays. They had the quarterback, Kenny Pickett. They starting quarterback, Kenny Pickett. He gets hurt. Mason Rudolph comes in, who's the outcast, who's the third string quarterback. He comes in and wins the job. He wins 3 straight and leads him to the playoff. He's starting the playoff game this coming week. Man, the Steelers, this is one of those jobs people keep screaming in Pittsburgh, and Steelers fans, I know a few of them. They scream for Mike Tomlin to get fired. And look what Mike Tomlin did. He won another 10 games. They in the playoffs. Defensively, they had T.J. Watt get hurt against Baltimore. That's going to hurt them next week, though, against the Bills. But T.J. Watt led the, I believe he's either leading or he won sack behind him, leading the league with like 18, 19 sacks. Great player. But the Steelers missing defensive players, too. They missing their starting linebackers. Quan Alexander and Cole Hogan both got hurt. Done for the season. It's going to be tough for Pittsburgh, though, to go down into Buffalo, man. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. Man, I'm rooting for Mike Tomlin, but it's going to be tough, man. It really is going to be tough for Pittsburgh to go into Buffalo and get that win. It's going to be tough, man. If Mike Tomlin pull this off, man, he a miracle worker here. He's a miracle worker. Because the Steelers have no business beating Buffalo in Buffalo playoff. No business. But we'll see. We'll see what's going on. In that game, the next game we're going to talk about is Kansas City versus Dolphins. This was one of the great games. If you didn't see this game early on in the regular season, this is one of the great games in the National Football League this season. It was a 21-14 game, but man, it was a great game. They played it over there in Germany. It was on early, so you might have missed it. Man, it was a great game. They Kansas City jumped out on the lead. The Dolphins came back. The Dolphins were driving, and Kansas City got to stop. The tie of the game. Kansas City got to stop. But it was the beginning of what we were seeing, that Kansas City offensively were having issues. That was the game that started the process of us seeing the issues that Kansas City. Because Kansas City, at one point, Kansas City was like 6-1. Kansas City at one point was 6-1. They were same old Chiefs. Everybody like, man, it's same old Chiefs. Then all of a sudden, this thing started creeping in. Offensive problems. The Chiefs, man, I'm going to tell you something, man. This is the first time in the Pat Mahomes era we can honestly say the Chiefs are flat out stuttering on offense. They sputtering. The receivers lead the league in drops. Kansas City, if they don't play well offensively, they will lose this game to the Dolphins. They will lose this game. If the receivers going out there start dropping balls left and right, they're going to lose. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. They're going to lose. So as I see it, the Chiefs defense, the one that's got to carry the team this year. Because you can't trust these receivers for Kansas City, ketchup and mustard. You can't trust them. But the reason why they got a chance is a couple of reasons. The Dolphins coming into this game, look, they done lost 2 straight. The Dolphins lost 2 straight. They banged up everywhere. They started DN Jalen Phillips towards Achilles against the Jets a couple of weeks ago. You got Bradley Chubb against Baltimore in a game that was out of reach. Blues ACL. You got Jalen Waddle hurt. He hurt his ankle against the Cowboys. They say he in a walking boot. And also they middle linebacker Jerome Baker, he been hurt. He been missed for because of a knee injury. 2 ain't playing well. Then we got to say this too. And nowadays in football, we don't talk much about the weather. But we better talk about the weather this game when the Dolphins coming in. It's 0 degrees. It's going to be Saturday in Kansas City. And it's a night game. It's going to be 0 degrees out there. Even though I talked about the issues Kansas City is having, man, I'm going to pick the Chiefs. I don't think the Dolphins go down there and beat them people. I don't think the Dolphins can go to Kansas City and beat them peoples with the issues that they have, all the people they got banged up. If Kansas City catch the ball, they can go anywhere and win. If they just do their job and catch the ball, they can go anywhere and win. But the problem is they ain't been doing it all year. You see, one thing about stuff like that, if you ain't been doing something, why all of a sudden in a big moment I think you're gonna do it? I can't see it. I don't see Kansas City doing it. Kansas City, they lead the league in drops. Why all of a sudden we think they're gonna go somewhere like Baltimore, or Buffalo, and go down there and beat them peoples? I don't know, man, but they're gonna beat the Dolphins. I truly believe that. I believe they're gonna beat the Dolphins. They're gonna beat the Dolphins. When you go to the next game, you got the Texans against the Browns. Man, I'm gonna tell you something. What a story. What a story for the Houston Texans, man. This right here is why you love sports. This is why these are the stories right here you love sports for. You got D'Amico Ryan, a former second round pick by the Houston Texans. He's been a defensive coordinator the last 2 years for the 49ers. He gets hired as the head coach by the team that first drafted him. He comes in, they draft the rookie quarterback CJ Stroud. And CJ Stroud helped lead them to the playoffs. Do y'all know that this is the first time in NFL history that a rookie head coach, a rookie quarterback has led their team to the playoffs? First time in NFL history that has happened. What an exceptional job by the Houston Texans. Houston Texans did a great job. I believe, man, both of them, they got the coach of the year and the offensive rookie of the year. Even though I said all that, though, Houston losing, man. Houston gonna lose to Cleveland. The Cleveland Browns head coach, Kevin Stefanski, excuse me, I'm pronouncing his name wrong. Cleveland went 11-6. They won 11 games with 4 different quarterbacks. They won 11 games with Deshaun Watson starting, Joe Flacco starting, P.J. Walker starting, Dorian Thompson-Robinson starting. They won all them games with them people starting. Kevin Stefanski did an exceptional job. If it wasn't for D'Amico Ryan, he'll be coach of the year. In my opinion, no doubt about it. He'll be coach of the year. And they lost their star running back, Nick Chubb. People forget about that. Nick Chubb, the star running back, he's gone for the year. They got Joe Flacco to come out of his couch. Joe Flacco with his 5 kids got out of his couch and got out there and helped lead that team to the playoffs. Where Joe Flacco has played so well, they said they got to bring Joe back next year. That's how great Joe playing. They said they got Deshaun Watson getting $250 million guarantee. Cleveland say it don't matter. We bringing Joe back. We need it. Joe played so well. Amari Cooper, star wide receiver, he had 72 catches for over 1,200 yards and 5 touchdowns. He played great. Man, I'm gonna tell you something, man. Credit to Kevin Stefanski and Joe Flacco, but they could not do it without their defense. Cleveland defense, man. I'm gonna tell you something, man. Jim Schwartz, defensive coordinator for the Cleveland Browns, man. He can coach defense. He's a great defensive coordinator. He coached them boys, man. They led, of course, by defensive year candidate Myles Garrett. Man, they got pressure, man. Man, Cleveland defense for real. I believe they're gonna get past the Texans, and then that defense, whoever they play next, is gonna give them problems. Whether or not it's Baltimore, they can beat Baltimore too. Whether or not it's Baltimore or whether or not it's Buffalo, they can beat either one of them. They got great corners. Denzel Ward played great. Mon Emerson, he played great as well. Cleveland is exceptional, man. I'm gonna tell you something, man. Cleveland did a great job. A great job this year. Credit to them, man. They did an exceptional job, man. exceptional job, man. You gotta get them boys credit, man. You gotta get them boys credit. You got to get them boys credit, man. So I'm a pick Cleveland to beat the Texans, and the Texans, man, what a story. But the story coming to an end though. Nah, they ain't going no further than that. As we move over to the NFC side, we're gonna start with the Cowboys versus the Packers. Cowboys win the NFC East. They earned this one. Cowboys win the NFC East, winning 2 straight games, going into the playoffs. Dak, man, I root for Dak, man. I root for Dak. Lost his brother via suicide. Mom passed away from cancer. He himself coming out saying he's dealing with mental health issues, and he's overcoming that to play exceptional, man. I'm rooting for Dak, man. He's a Cowboy, yeah. As a Redskin / Commander fan, I'm not supposed to root for anybody Cowboy, but I can't, man. I got to give exception in this, man. Dak. I root for Dak Prescott, man. I root for Dak. CeeDee Lamb also playing great. CeeDee Lamb playing great, and credit to him. They going to the playoffs in the right frame of mind. The one thing offensively when it comes to the Cowboys is that run game real suspect. That run game is real suspect. Real suspect. That run game is real suspect. And the run game needs to get better as they progress in the playoffs, because they playing the Packers. They're going to have to get that run game going by the time they get to the Niners. Because if they get to the Niners, they one-dimensional. They not beating the Niners. They not beating them. Cancel that. They ain't beating the Niners. They could get away with it with Kansas City, because Kansas City. They might get away with it when they playing the Packers this weekend, because the Packers are all about Jordan Love. Jordan Love played great. This guy, man, first year starting, he had over 4,100 yards passing, 32 touchdowns, only 11 interceptions. He was second in the league in touchdown behind Dak Prescott. You like to see maturity in people as time went on the season. You could clearly see the Packers as the receivers and started getting mature. They were developing. Jordan Love's game started developing as well. They did a great job, man. They really did a great job, and credit to them, man. Jordan Love. The Packers, they got a lot of young guys as receivers. Young guy, Jaden Reed, man, the former Michigan State product. He has 64 catches, 793 yards, 8 touchdowns. Hey, he played well for him. And they did their thing. He played well for him, man. Credit to him. Played well, did a great job. And defensively, though, I talked about it last week with the Packers. That's going to be their bugaboo right there. The Packers' defense is nowhere near where it should be. They got too much talent to be playing like that. And I think it's all on the defensive coordinator, Joe Burrow. I'm not disparaged. I don't want nobody to get fired, but change is needed. If they want to go to a Super Bowl, take the next jump to get on the level at the Niners and the upper echelon teams in the NFL, Joe Burrow ain't the guy to lead them. They need a new defensive coordinator. Joe Burrow is not the guy. He ain't gonna lead him. Joe Burrow was down here with the Redskins with Jay Gruden. Joe Burrow, man, was getting on fights on the sideline with players, man. It was no good, man. Joe Burrow shouldn't be the defensive coordinator of the Joe Burrow should not be the defensive coordinator of the Packers. He should not. He should not be the defensive coordinator of the Packers. He should not be the defensive coordinator of the Packers. So we'll see with that. The next game, I got the Cowboys winning that one, but it will not shock me if Jordan Love pull it out down there in Dallas. I'm gonna tell y'all something. Jordan Love is the next up and coming star in the NFL. Because you got to understand, the Packers draft wide receivers well. They get O linemen. He's only gonna get better. You see, when you sit behind somebody like an Aaron Rodgers, and you able to sit and learn for the past 4 years, you're able to learn. You see, the Packers have found the code as to how to keep their quarterback situation going. They did it. They started with Aaron Rodgers and Favre. Aaron Rodgers ain't played for 4 years. Fast forward, 16 years later, Jordan Love get drafted. Same thing. Sit behind Aaron, learns, and now he's ready to go. And they're going to do the same thing to Jordan Love. By 2035, they're going to draft a quarterback. That's what they're going to do. That's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to draft another quarterback. So I got the Cowboys on that one. The next game we're going to talk about Bucks Eagles. Man, the Eagles reeling. The Eagles in bad shape going down the playoff. The Eagles lost. They 1-5 down the stretch. The Eagles had turmoil all through the season. At one point in the season, they were 10-1. 10-1. They entered the season 11-6. The Eagles, during the season, not the off season, they tried to switch their defensive coordinators from Sean Desai to Matt Patricia during the season. That never works. They injured all over the place. A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, they banged up. Jalen Hurts, he banged up. He got knee issues. He got a finger broken on his throwing hand. Defensively, they're not playing right. Guys doing their own thing. Scheme doesn't fit personnel. They got people that's supposed to be pass rushing, dropping in coverage. He blown coverages everywhere by linebackers, and man, just the Eagles are a mess. The Eagles got issues everywhere. And they're going to play a Bucks team, and man, they played one of the worst games last week yesterday against the Panthers, but they got the win though, 9-0. Them people they won the game 9-0. It's like a baseball score, 9-0. The Bucks get the NFC crown. Man, Baker did his thing offensively. They playing well. They average about 28 points a game. I think Baker gonna get another contract from the Bucks. I think so. I think he gonna get another contract. He gonna get that contract. He gonna get some money. Todd Bowles ain't losing his job either. I think if the Bucks didn't win the playoff, Todd Bowles getting fired. That's just me. I think if they didn't win that game, they didn't win that division, Todd Bowles was gonna get fired. And by him winning that game, he saved his job at least for one more year. Man, them Glazers don't be playing around, man. They one of the worst. Trust me, I know they one of the worst owners, but they don't be playing. They one of the worst owners, man. Trust me, I know. They own my soccer team, Manchester United, and them people they can't win. They can't do nothing since the old man retired, Alex Ferguson, and Glazers can't pick on coach. They can't do nothing right. But that's a whole nother issue there. So I'm in that game. That's a toss up right there. I'm going with the Bucks on that one. I think the Bucks gonna pull that thing out. And the last game that I'm gonna talk about was the Rams against Detroit. This is a fun one. This really is a fun one, man. You got Jared Goff and Matthew Stafford playing their old teams. Matthew Stafford asks for a trade. Detroit sends him to the Rams. The Rams sends Jared Goff to Detroit. Stafford wins the Super Bowl. He coming back. It's a fun one. It really is. This is a fun one, and you got to credit. You have to credit both teams for taking a good approach to this. meaning that Jared Goff came into Detroit. He didn't sulk. He didn't spout. He just worked hard. He did his thing, and now he got his boys on the 3 seed with a good chance of beating the Rams. And he get to do something. He get to prove to Sean McVay he can play. So, as I look at it, man, let's see how Jared Goff responds. Because Matthew Stafford is a Super Bowl winning quarterback. Matthew Stafford ain't training about no Detroit, man. That man live in Los Angeles. He ain't worrying about no Detroit. Detroit was somewhere he worked at. That man in L.A. buying mansions, living in there 2-3 weeks and selling it for a fortune. He ain't worrying about that. You got Aaron Donald playing against the Rams whole line. Man, we're gonna see Aaron Donald slowing down, man. But we'll see if he got a little bit of juice left. So, Detroit hosting their first playoff game since Barry Sanders. Since Barry, back in 1994, I believe 91. It might have been 91. It's the game where Barry turned the Cowboy dude around. It's been that long. It's been over 30 years. It's been over 30 years since the Lions hosted a playoff game. And they doing it. So it's going to be live in Detroit. Them Detroit dudes, they're going to be going wild out there. They're going to be going wild. And credit to them. They deserve it, man. Detroit deserved this run. Detroit really do. Detroit deserved this run at the playoffs. Detroit earned it. They earned it, man. I can't wait to see. I can't wait to see the crowd down there. I was about to call it the Silver Dome. Down there in Ford Field, man. So, man, I'm glad to see this playoff is here. It's a bittersweet day. I'm excited about the playoff, but the regular season is over, man. By the time it's gonna be February, and man, the NFL season is over, man. Then we going to combine time. So it's bittersweet, but enjoy it while it's here. We got a month and a half left of the NFL season, man. So you got to enjoy it, man. That being said, thank you for watching this episode of Hit the Sled. Hey, don't forget, you can always watch my podcast right here on my YouTube channel at Hit the Sled. Not only that, I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. I'm on TikTok. And I'm on Twitch. So I truly appreciate y'all checking me out. Man, these things are fun, man, where you get to talk about things that you love, man. I truly appreciate y'all. Hit the sled. We coming. Appreciate you. Thanks a lot for checking me out.